The trial of former police officer Derek Chauvin continues today. Chauvin is charged with killing George Floyd last year. Now this as protests continue in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, after Officer Kim Potter fatally shot Daunte Wright on Sunday. Potter has since resigned and has been charged with second-degree manslaughter. She is scheduled to appear in court today. Skyler Henry is in Minneapolis with the latest on both stories for us. Skyler, what can you tell us?
Hey, Emery, good morning. Well, we'll start with the Daunte Wright case first. Officer Kim Porter, or former Officer Kim Porter, she's out on a $100,000 bond this morning. We'll see what happens when she's in court later today. But critics want a stiffer charge against the longtime officer. Law enforcement saying that they've arrested more than 100 people so far over the course of the last few days. And those calls for justice for 20-year-old Daunte Wright. But as for this trial against former police officer Derek Chauvin, we heard witness testimony for the defense arguing how George Floyd died.
Police fired chemical spray at protesters outside the Brooklyn Center Police Department last night. The fourth straight evening of demonstrations.
Cease your lawful behavior and disperse.
While rallies remained mostly peaceful during the day, about 24 people were eventually arrested. Protesters are demanding justice for Daunte Wright, who was killed during a traffic stop Sunday. Officer Kim Potter allegedly mistook her taser for her firearm and shot Wright. She since resigned and is now charged with second-degree manslaughter.
At what point did you not feel that this was a gun in your hand versus a taser?
Potter was released from jail after posting bond and will make her first court appearance later today. Meanwhile, just a few miles south here in Minneapolis, the murder trial of former police officer Derek Chauvin continues.
I do.
A retired forensic pathologist took the stand for the defense on Wednesday. Dr. David Fowler said George Floyd's death was not a homicide.
All of his injuries were in areas where the knee was not.
The prosecution argues Floyd died because Chauvin's knee was pressed against his neck area for more than 9 minutes. They did get Fowler to admit Floyd should have been helped when he went into cardiac arrest.
There was a time when he may have been revived because he wasn't dead yet.
Immediate medical attention for a person who's gone into cardiac arrest may well reverse that process, yes.
It's still unclear whether Chauvin will take the stand.
Now, we should mention that Dr. David Fowler is facing a lawsuit himself, along with a few others. He's accused of working with police in terms of holding back autopsy results in the death of a Maryland man back in 2018. That did not come up in trial yesterday. Now, the defense is expected to wrap up things today. If that does happen, that there will be a small break. As for the Kim Potter case, if she is found guilty, she could face up to 10 years in prison, Anne-Marie.
Just quickly, a couple of questions. The Derek Chauvin trial,
Sure.
What can we expect today? Do we know who will be called to the stand?
Well, we can expect more witness testimony for sure, perhaps from more experts. We mentioned Dr. Fowler yesterday. What remains to be seen is whether we will actually hear from Derek Chauvin himself. But again, if the defense wraps up today, the court will then break tomorrow. The closing arguments are expected to begin on Monday, and then the jury will have time to deliberate sometime next week.
Okay, and then now looking to the death of Daunte Wright, a former Brooklyn Center police officer,
Right.
Kim Potter, is making a court appearance. What does that entail today?
Right, and so this will be the first time she'll hear from a judge whether about this second-degree manslaughter charge. I mentioned before how some critics want perhaps a stiffer charge with a stiffer penalty for the longtime police officer. But what remains to be seen is actually what will come from this. We don't know, because everything's moved so quickly, whether Potter could potentially take a plea deal already. And so we don't know if this would go to a trial. We don't know if new charges could come in the next few days, weeks, months, similar to what we saw in the Derek Chauvin trial, where we saw that third-degree murder charge stick in that trial. And so there are a lot of different moving parts here. But since Kim Potter resigned on Tuesday, since she was arrested and booked yesterday, and now that with her making this court appearance later on this afternoon. A lot of different things happening here. So this could be one of those instances where she takes a plea deal, perhaps pays a significant fine, and then maybe serves some sort of jail time. And we don't even see her or this getting into any sort of court or trial.
Wow. Skyler Henry, thank you so much.